Your Denver Broncos are facing a problem, a challenge they haven't faced in almost a decade, and these challenges prove beyond a shadow of a doubt that Sean Payton is an actual grass-eating goat. He's a fantastic coach, and all the hate that folks were throwing at him 2 years ago, I hope that is in our rear view because these challenges prove what the rest of the league really think about Sean Payton. And we are on to the offseason here. I was all queued up, ready to make a video last night about the triumphant end of the Chiefs' quest to three-peat, and I couldn't even record after they won because I was so disheartened, but I'm checking out a football. I'm not even going to watch the Super Bowl because I am on to next season. I hope y'all are with me. If you like the Broncos and are pumped about what we have in store for the future, it helps me and the algorithm out a ton if you would like and subscribe. One of my least favorite sayings in the world is anytime someone tells me, oh, that's a good problem to have, because if it was a problem, you wouldn't call it good. Problems are inherently not good, and my bosses have tried to tell me that about things I'm dealing with, and I'm like, stop saying that. There's no such thing as a good problem, but there are good challenges, and I think the Broncos have a good challenge that has been happening to them, and that is the challenge of a brain drain. So what is happening is that everyone was throwing all these insults that Sean Payton was washed up and his system didn't work anymore, and yet across the league, you have multiple teams digging through our garbage like, whoa, we have to get whatever coaching staff was able to take the 31st or 32nd ranked squad player, like, all the talent on this team was 31st or 32nd on every single site and got them almost tied to the Buffalo Bills at halftime. And they're saying, hey, whatever coaches did that, like, are elite, and we need them to come coach our players. And so we're talking like 6 names from this Sean Payton coaching tree currently on this team people have been trying to pluck them off. And our richest owner in sports is helping us keep a couple of those key names who declared that today. So the big news of the day, first off, is that Chicago Bears were looking at 2 pieces of the Denver Broncos coaching tree, both David Shaw, who I am super pumped for, and I think that is a sneaky secret weapon that we have, and then our tight end coach, and his name was Declan Doyle, right? And we're the 30th ranked tight end room in the league, which proves like how highly people must have thought of him. If like you have the 30th ranked tight end group in the league and you're still getting these flyers, you must be pretty good at your job. And it is really an indictment of how bad our talent in the tight end room must have been. And so what you saw is that the Chicago Bears passed on David Shaw and ended up hiring our tight end coach to be their new offensive coordinator. Truly, man, if I was him, you're going in with Ben Johnson. Ben Johnson is going to be the play caller. So essentially, you're just organizing and prepping dudes throughout the week. I don't think that's that cool of a job, but he's gone. And so we're going to figure out who fills his spot in the coming weeks for sure. But if you take a look just over these past few days, you are now looking at the Jets taking our assistant GM. You are looking at our tight end coach being poached by the Bears. And then what we're also seeing is that multiple players or multiple other folks on our current coaching squad have been pulled in for interviews. So Detroit Lions are about to take our passing game coordinator, Johnny Morton, to become the new offensive coordinator to fill in for Ben Johnson. And so you are just like, oh, wow, this is really starting to add up. And when you really look at this list of player or coaches on this team who have been poached by other places, it's a pretty sizable list that obviously Doyle, Bears OC, Morton, Lions OC, Moogie going to be the Jets GM. And then hearing Vance Joseph was in interviews for being a head coach, David Shaw being interviewed, Chris Banjo being interviewed. But the big news of the day is that Jim Leonhard is the coach that I think Sean Payton just adores and really, really likes. He actually was in the running for several defensive coordinator positions several years ago. You remember he actually played safety for the Denver Broncos for a while. I remember playing with him in Madden. I think he was the kick returner as well, which was a lot of fun. And what happened is he declared that he is actually staying in Denver, which I think is fantastic news. This is exactly what Ben Johnson did a couple of years ago when he was poached for multiple head coaching interviews and people were trying to steal him from the Lions. And he's like, I believe in what the Lions are doing so much that I want to go back and run it back with Dan Campbell one more time. So I think it's a really cool sign of what Jim Leonhard really thinks about the future of this Broncos squad. Of like, hey, just wait until we have all of our draft picks. Just wait till we're out of this Russell Wilson dead cap hit. Like, if we made noise this year, just wait till year 3 of the Sean Payton system. Bo Nix isn't going to be a rookie, and I think we are going to make a deep run next year. I think the other piece of good news here is truly just seeing that the richest owner in sports can do things to incentivize staying in Denver, and that is one thing where we're limited in a salary cap of what you can pay an individual player, but you're not limited in what you can pay coaching or ancillary coaching staff. A lot of franchises in the league don't even have positions that we have. We had an assistant head coach for a while. We have David Shaw's position, which doesn't exist in other places as well. We have a passing game coordinator, which other places didn't have either. And so I think it's really great news that you have Jim Leonhard staking his claim in the Mile High City, saying, nope, I'm going to stay. Also think it's fantastic that Sean Payton can grow other leaders under him. I've worked in organizations before that do that really well, and it's next man up philosophy. And if you have a fantastic leader at the top, like we do in Sean Payton, he grows other leaders under him. I also think if you're an up and coming brilliant mind and you're choosing between two organizations, why not come to Denver where you see that, hey, if I do well in Denver with Sean Payton and I jump on his coattails, I'm going to have the entire world opened up to me. And so I think it's a fantastic thing that we're not going to have a brain drain as we're afraid of having. Instead, our richest owner in sports is going to pay to keep the brains here, and we're actually going to suck in more brains. We're going to have like a brain magnet bringing brilliant minds to Denver to come coach here, because you saw what Sean Payton did with a talentless roster. Like, he got us into the playoffs, and we were almost tied at halftime with the Buffalo Bills in the playoffs. I cannot wait to see what the future holds for this. And really, I think this is a great point here by @DailyBroncos on Twitter. If the Broncos somehow keep Jim Leonhard, which it seems like we're going to because he closed himself off for future interviews, and Davis Webb, that will be a huge flex for our ownership's like deep pockets, saying like, hey, they're going to stay in Denver. We will pay them whatever it takes. Like, we'll pay them more as associate coaches or offensive coordinators than other teams pay their head coach. And that's a really cool thing to be able to just attract the best minds to Denver and keep them there. Absolutely fantastic news there. So then, yeah, just seeing here, it'll be interesting to see what happens with our passing game coordinator going. I also think, like, might Sean Payton bring in some staff that he's worked with in the past back to Denver? That could be a really cool thing as well. Last piece of news from the day is that Quinn Meinerz, who was a massive, massive Pro Bowl snub but made an All-Pro team, which we've talked about on this channel, is actually a step above the Pro Bowl. Because the Chiefs made the Super Bowl, Quinn Meinerz had an opportunity to be an alternate for the Pro Bowl. And he basically was like, yeah, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to be nobody's second option. He declined the option because he did not want to be an alternate. He sees himself as one of the best offensive linemen in the league, and he's not going to be anybody's like backup homecoming date. So props to Quinn Meinerz. I know, like, when I was in high school, I would be thrilled to be anyone's backup prom date. But props to him. That just shows he knows his worth. And I think our offensive coordinators know their worth and know the worth of the Broncos moving forward. So let me know in the comments how you feel about all this juggling of our coaching staff, how you feel about the Chiefs being in the Super Bowl. Are you even going to watch? And I cannot wait to keep covering the offseason with the best fans in sports, y'all. We've got a ton to. Bo leaving.